Season 3 of The Umbrella Academy is now streaming on Netflix and has been for several days. I unfortunately could not talk about it a few days ago though, because so much was happening in the last few days that having to binge a whole 10-hour season on Netflix was kind of impossible back then. But I eventually did get a chance to see it all, and now I'm talking to you guys about it. And there are going to be spoilers in this review, you have been warned. There's a lot to say about it, so without further ado, here we go. At the end of Season 2, it seemed things were fine. The Umbrella Academy was back to the timeline that they left from. However, it turns out the house is not the same, and there are new kids over there. This is the Sparrow Academy, which turns out to be kids that Reginald Hargraves, once again played by Colm Feore, those are the kids he adopted, not the Umbrella Academy. And that creates a major rift between the two academies, and they can't stand each other. However, the arrival of the Umbrella Academy triggers something called a Kugel Blitz, which is this form of black hole that's threatening to suck the entire universe in, and so they have to put aside those differences and eventually work together to stop another doomsday level event. If there's anyone to thank for me watching any of these seasons or reading the comics, it is this one person at New York Comic Con. I don't know who it is. I don't know if I'll ever meet her again, but she worked at the comic booth. I think it was for Midtown Comics. And I was about to buy the first issue because I'd heard some things about it. There was a panel happening with Netflix later in the day. And when I was about to buy it, she was very insistent that I buy it. Like, this is very underrated, you gotta read it. Great recommendation. It came through, it was sound, and ever since then, I've really liked what they've been doing with this franchise. The comic books, on and off, but there are some decisions that I did not like. However, those decisions were rectified in the show itself, and going into Season 3, I was excited to see where else it would go. This one adapts from the newer comics, the Hotel Oblivion stuff, and so there is definitely a sort of syncing of all the material now. We're all on the same page here, quite literally speaking, and Season 3 is honestly pretty solid. It's not quite as good as I think Season 2 is. Overall, I can say that I am now 3 for 3 when it comes to the Umbrella Academy. Once again, everybody in this show is giving great performances and bringing these characters to life wonderfully. There has been a bit of a change, however, when it comes to one specific character. As you may know, between Seasons 2 and 3, in real life, Elliot Page transitioned, and so Victor Hargraves is now, the character, and I think they handled that very gracefully in this show. I think they found a way to do it respectfully and quite sweetly, actually, and they don't try to make a big deal out of it. Like, it happens, and then they're all like, yeah, sounds good, man, we're in. And I think that's good. It just very quickly normalizes that. And he's great once again. Like, this is just, the great performances keep on coming. One person in particular I want to give a shout out to in this season, however, is Emmy Raver-Lampman, who plays Allison Graves. As you know, in the second season, she had a family, she had a daughter, and then all of the nonsense that happened because, of timelines and doomsday stuff, she had to leave them. And so when she shows up in a world where they don't seem to exist anymore, she's grief-stricken, she's angry, she's irrational at times, and very quick to do certain things. And that performance that she gives as a result of that is really, really great. It's some of the best work that she's done throughout the entire series. And the scenes that she has, especially with Victor, because he's somewhat of a doomsday machine himself, and then that rift that happens between them every now and then, especially when someone Victor was very close to years ago, named Harlan, this little boy who he saved in the very end of Season 2, has some of the powers that Victor has and can use them. He shows up and it causes some more drama, but we'll get to that part in a bit. Regarding the Sparrow Academy, I think it's fun seeing a different side of Ben, played once again by Justin H. Min. This guy is more of an asshole. He's just cocky bastard through and through, but it's definitely like as the show progresses, he becomes much more in line with, what the Umbrella Academy is like. And so they find a way to bridge those things. There's also one girl named Slowan who they go into a little bit. She has a bit of a romance that eventually develops with number 1. And that was also nice. It was a nice little subplot that was there in the middle. And for the most part, that's really all you get. There's one of the other members named Faye. She can control ravens very creepily. There's a cube named Christopher. And yeah, that's about it. They don't get too much in terms of some of the characterization when it comes to the Sparrow Academy. You get some things here and there. You see their powers being used, and you're like, okay, that one has that power, that one has this power. All right, the powers are settled. What else? And that's about it, really. There's not much else beyond that. But for the most part, I would say characterization, still fine. The visuals are the best they have been in all 3 seasons. They are remarkable. There are some scenes in particular, especially when this Kugelblitz thing is going ferocious, that are genuinely outstanding. Like, especially in the back third of the season, like the last third of it, when this thing becomes unbelievably huge, and it comes down to the hotel is the last thing left. This thing is it's quite amazing, like some of the shots you get. Although in the red and orange backgrounds with thunder that have been happening recently in Netflix with this and Stranger Things season 4, it's like, they seem to have a thing, Netflix at the moment, with such stuff. So that's interesting. The soundtrack choices are once again phenomenal. They do not miss. And I have to say, I was kind of chuckling over a couple of them, especially and not limited to House of the Rising Sun by Jeremy Renner. I know Jeremy Renner sings, but yeah, I did not expect to hear a Jeremy Renner song in a show. So that was something. First time for everything, I suppose. But as I mentioned earlier, a lot's happening in this season. I only gave you some snippets here and there in talking about the other aspects, but so much is happening. There are subplots upon subplots. There's an entire thing with Robert Sheehan's character Klaus Hargraves as he's trying to get closer to Reginald, but it turns out this Reginald is a bit different, and so he's working a completely different dynamic with him throughout the entire season. That's one whole subplot. There's an entire subplot involving Diego and Lila, who is once again returned, but she has a kid this time named Stan, and they have to take care of him, or at least Diego has to be kind of a father. It turns out he's not the father of this kid, but the dynamic that they have going is pretty interesting too. There's also a lot of things happening at the hotel itself, and then eventually Victor finding this boy Harlan, whom he saved in season 2, as you recall, and when he was with Sissy, and now he has powers, but he's an older man now, and it turns out that all of the timeline stuff that's happening is because Harlan was unable to control himself a while ago, and it turns out that in his blast zone when he was trying to find Victor, it turns out he killed all of the Umbrella Academy members' moms, and so that creates the grandfather paradox, as it were, which is crazy to think about. And so that causes even more complication. And when Allison eventually kills Harlan and Victor finds out about this, that rift that is between them, it's makes sense. Like it's definitely not on the side of good. Like it's not like everybody's on board with it. But I mean, obviously characters are distraught, and eventually the wrap-ups that you get, they're solidly handled, I think. At least the show is a bit on and off when it comes to that, but that describes all the other seasons so far too. The siblings would constantly be back and forth on what side they were on, and that character consistency is there throughout here. I mean, they're siblings, but they're siblings in the sense that there were 7 children that were taken in, but they're all adopted, and so there's like that connection, which is like, hey, we're family, we stick together, but it's like, yeah, but we're like family, like dad was gone then and it was great, and now are we family really? And so that particular contrast that keeps going on, eventually, as the season progresses, it has to be stronger than ever. As for the Hotel Oblivion stuff, it's nicely done. I mean, the set is really cool of the hotel. It's very old-fashioned. And then eventually the inverted side of it, which is when you see the Oblivion stuff with these murderous guardians, honestly, is really cool. I mean, they've not really messed up a lot. Like, I think season 3 is still very solid. I'm not sure who the consensus, like, in terms of, like, what is the favorite storyline of it is. I'm sure everyone has their own opinions on what each character is doing and, which is the better character and which isn't. I do think some things are not quite as well developed as other things. There are some things that definitely feel like they're stuffed in a bit too much. A little streamlining next time would do this a lot, do much better for it would work better for this show, honestly, because there's already so much going on. You don't want to overburden it, and the show constantly keeps making little jabs at stuff like that, like, oh, I don't have enough time for this now, and also this. It's like, I'm trying to deal with this here. That's all great and all, but when you, the viewer, are also watching it, you're like, all right, maybe this can be a little lesser next time. That's just my 2 cents on that. I think season 2 was a little better at handling that stuff. But finishing up season 3, I was definitely quite satisfied. I'm interested in where season 4 is going to go, because eventually the big reset that again happens in order to stop everything from getting blown up results in all the members losing their powers. So I'm kind of curious as to what that's going to mean going forward, whether or not they're ever going to get that back. It seems like Hargraves has taken over the entire city, at least, maybe the world. I'm not sure yet, but I guess we'll see where that goes. I'm going to give The Umbrella Academy Season 3 an A-. I actually gave Season 2 an A, so it's a slight step down. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.